Welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast. Today, we're tackling a question that quite a few of you have actually sent in. Is Uranium Energy Corp a good time to buy now? We've gathered a whole stack of sources, detailed investment analyses, recent news reports, the works to try and give you a clear, concise, and hopefully insightful look at UTC.
Right.
Our mission, like always, is to pull out the really important bits of information so you can walk away feeling like you've got a good handle on it.
Yeah, connect the dots.
Exactly. And hey, as we get started, we'd love it if you'd subscribe, like, maybe leave a comment. If you enjoy what we do, maybe even consider buying us a coffee. The link's below.
Always appreciated.
And definitely, if there's a specific company you want us to look into, drop it in the comments. Okay, let's get into it. Uranium Energy Corp, or UEC.
Yeah.
We've got this detailed analysis here. And the big question for you listening in is now the right moment to think about putting money into this particular stock?
Well, what's really fascinating here, I think, is that UEC operates in a sector that's seeing some pretty significant shifts, huge changes.
Right.
So understanding the company isn't just about looking at their books, it's also about getting the broader picture, the nuclear energy landscape, how policy is pushing demand. We'll try to connect those dots for you today.
Okay, that makes sense. It's about context.
Yeah.
So let's dive into the fundamentals then. Our sources show UEC reported total revenue of $164.4 million for the last period. Gross profit was $49.7 million. It sounds pretty positive on the surface, but here's where it gets interesting, maybe a bit confusing. Consensus forecasts are actually projecting a slightly negative EPS, earnings per share, of -3 cents for the quarter ending July 2025.
Right.
And there's not much expectation of, near-term profitability.
Yeah.
So how do those pieces fit together? Revenue's up, but profits aren't expected.
Yeah, that's a really important question. It highlights this classic tension, doesn't it? Growth versus profitability, especially in a sector like uranium that's, it's developing and needs a lot of capital up front.
Okay.
So yeah, near-term profit isn't really the main story right now. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, look at their balance sheet. It's incredibly strong.
Strong out.
They've got $271 million in cash, inventory, and equities as of May 30, 2025. And this is crucial. Absolutely no debt.
Wow, no debt.
None. And their inventory, they're holding 1.356 million pounds of U3O8. That's devil cake, basically, valued at $96.6 million.
Okay.
So that suggests really strong asset backing. And it gives them, options, flexibility when prices are volatile, which they are in this sector.
Yeah, that no debt really stands out, doesn't it? Especially right now with interest rates where they are. It means they're less exposed to all those refinancing risks. That feels like a huge advantage.
It absolutely is. And beyond the balance sheet, their strategic position is really quite strong. They've got a very U.S.-centric asset base.
Yeah, meaning most of their operations are in the U.S.
Exactly, including getting a fast-track designation for their Sweetwater project. And they're expanding their in-situ recovery operations, ISR,
Right, the method where they dissolve it underground, less digging.
Precisely. Often cheaper, less environmental impact. So this focus makes them a leading contender, really, as a U.S. uranium supplier, just as U.S. policy is shifting towards, energy independence, especially in nuclear.
So they're not just digging stuff up, they're kind of woven into this bigger national strategy.
Right.
That's compelling. I also saw a mention of a supply deal with Radiant Industries, and their CEO, Amir Adnani, got appointed to the World Nuclear Association board. Does that stuff matter?
Oh, definitely. If we connect this back again, these aren't just like random news items. They show UEC's thinking ahead, their integrated approach. They want to build the whole domestic nuclear value chain.
Right.
The Radiant deal points to involvement in advanced reactors. Adnani's appointment. That's serious industry influence globally. They're aligning with this national push, which gives them a real competitive edge.
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk valuation. It always comes up.
Right.
When we ask, is it a good time to buy?
Always.
Our sources say the usual ratios, price earnings, price sales, price book, aren't super clear because, UEC has limited earnings right now.
Yeah.
So how do you accurately value a company like this? It seems tricky.
It is tricky, and that raises a really important point about how we assess value for companies that are still in that growth phase, especially in capital-heavy sectors.
Yeah.
Like you said, limited earnings mean traditional PE ratios are often negative or sky high, so not very helpful. What's fascinating here and kind of key for UEC is that it's often valued based on its resources and assets.
The uranium they have on the ground or an inventory.
Exactly. That physical uranium inventory, we talked about the $96 million worth, that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Plus, valuations depend heavily on future uranium price scenarios, not just current earnings.
Okay.
So the whole uranium sector generally trades at higher price to book or price to sales ratios than other industries. Why? Because the market is pricing in expectations of long-term demand growth, plus all the recent bullish feeling around nuclear.
So it's less about profits today, much more about what they have and what the future might hold for uranium prices and demand.
That's a good way to put it, yeah. It's a bet on the asset value and the sector's future.
Got it. Now, what about the stock price itself, the technical side? You mentioned volatility.
Oh, yeah. Looking at the technicals, the stock has definitely been volatile. That's just par for the course in the uranium sector, really.
Right.
It reacts, sometimes quite strongly, to macroeconomic news, any regulatory changes, and of course moves in the uranium spot price.
So it's sensitive.
Very. Support levels often show up near where the price consolidated before, and that big inventory value kind of acts as a backstop, provides a bit of a floor, theoretically. Resistance, on the other hand, tends to line up with recent highs, usually hit after positive news like government support announcements or sector-wide rallies. You can expect the price to bounce around, basically, reacting to news and sentiment.
I can picture the chart. Probably looks pretty spiky. But it sounds like underneath all that noise, there's a generally bullish trend, especially with things like that U.S. government fast-track news and efforts to rebuild domestic capacity. Is that what's driving the momentum we've seen?
Precisely. That's the engine. The recent price action shows strong momentum right after those key announcements, the fast-track new supply deals. And yes, the long-term trend is definitely bullish as this whole nuclear story gets stronger.
Right.
Now, sometimes momentum indicators might flash overbought after a big surge, but honestly, that just highlights the sector's natural volatility within what looks like a generally upward trend. People are eager to buy on good news.
Okay, so a bumpy ride, but potentially heading upwards overall. Makes sense. So let's get practical for listeners. What are the immediate things to watch for, the potential catalysts? And then what are the risks that could derail things? Start with the short-term stuff.
Sure. Short term, definitely keep an eye on the upcoming quarterly earnings reports, always important. Also, the publication of the technical report for their Great Divide Basin hub that could be significant for their resource estimates.
Okay.
And watch for any more physical uranium purchases they might make, perhaps around December 2025, that could boost sentiment. And of course, any new supply contracts or financing news would be immediate catalysts, likely driving some near-term price movement.
Got it. And what about the longer-term drivers? What's the bigger picture supporting growth over, say, the next few years?
Longer term, UEC is positioned to benefit hugely from these big macroeconomic shifts towards uranium and nuclear power. You know, for energy security, for clean energy goals.
Right, the tailwinds.
Exactly. Ongoing regulatory support, especially in the U.S., is a major plus. It sort of de-risks things for them. And, you know, there's always potential for M&A mergers and acquisitions as the sector consolidates.
Interesting.
Their expansion into new U.S. production, their active role in shaping this domestic nuclear cycle, those are really substantial long-term drivers.
Okay, that paints a compelling long-term picture. But, as always, no investment is risk-free. What are the key risks here? What should people be really mindful of?
Absolutely critical question. While the upside seems clear, UEC still faces risks. Stock-specific risks include, well, actually achieving sustainable profitability. Those negative EPS forecasts are still there.
Right, the current numbers aren't profitable.
Exactly, and so much of its value is tied to the uranium price, which is notoriously volatile. That's a big one. Then there's execution risk. Can they actually ramp up these new projects efficiently? Can they secure the contracts they need? It's not guaranteed. And broader risks. High sensitivity to policy changes. A supportive government is great, but policies can change. Uranium spot price swings, obviously, shifts in energy demand. And while being U.S.-centric helps avoid some geopolitical issues, they're still exposed to U.S. policy shifts and potential delays in building out the needed nuclear infrastructure. It's not a simple path.
Okay, a balanced view there. So let's try to wrap this up. We've looked at the finances, the strategy, valuation challenges, market moves, catalysts, risks. The analysis we reviewed gives it an overall rating of 7 out of 10. What's the final investment thesis summary? What does that 7-10 really mean?
Yeah, the rationale for that 7-10 really boils down to combining that super strong balance sheet, remember? No debt, lots of cash and inventory, with its growing strategic importance as a key U.S. supplier.
Oh.
That direct line into a bullish nuclear sector, driven by real policy momentum, makes for a pretty attractive setup, both for potential growth and maybe even as a defensive play because of those hard assets.
So a strong position definitely sounds like it, but not perfect. A 7 isn't a 10. What holds it back? What moderates that rating?
Precisely. The moderation comes from that lack of near-term profitability we keep mentioning. That's a hurdle for some investors. Also, its dependence on the broader sector's momentum. It needs the whole uranium story to keep playing out positively.
Right.
And again, the inherent volatility of uranium prices. Those things together temper the risk-adjusted reward outlook, especially if you're looking for short-term gains.
Okay, that makes sense. So for our listener mulling this over, what's the recommended investment horizon? Is this a quick flip, or are we talking longer term?
Well, what's fascinating here, and I think pretty clear from our discussion, is that this stock seems much better suited for long-term investment.
Long term. Why specifically?
It comes down to the timeline of the underlying trends. The build-out of U.S. nuclear infrastructure. That takes years, decades even. Its exposure to these policy trends, again, long-term plays.
Yeah.
And realizing the full value of its resources as projects come online, that takes time too. So yeah, while maybe nimble short-term traders can try to play the news-driven swings, the really compelling case seems to be for long-term investors who are willing to accept that higher-than-average volatility for the potential of sector-beating returns down the road.
What a journey through Uranium Energy Corp. Feels like we've really unpacked it. A company with a really impressive balance sheet, a key role potentially in America's energy future. But yeah, one that clearly demands patience and a stomach for those market swings. So what does this all mean for you listening? As you think about everything we've discussed, maybe consider the bigger picture. How fast do you think the world can or will really pivot back to nuclear power on a massive scale? And what would that truly mean for companies like UEC right at the center of it?
Indeed. And that raises some crucial questions. And just how critical government policy will be in making it all happen. The answers there will shape things for years.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us for this exploration of UEC. We really hope this has given you a clear perspective and maybe some interesting things to think about.
Hope so.
Again, if you like this, please subscribe, like, maybe leave a comment. Let us know what companies you're curious about. We do read those comments.
We do.
Until our next investing conversation, keep uncovering those valuable insights.